better. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Did I sign somebody else up? Hmm. Happy Saturday. Good afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in, come on in, come on. And I literally just jumped on here. This is a question that has been in my ear for a while. I've been thinking about this, and this is something that I wanted to just get on live and share with you all today, because I understand that there are a lot of marriages, there are a lot of couples where one person may be a follower of Christ or have whatever denomination, spiritual, religious beliefs that you have, and the other person is not. And I understand that can cause some level of tension. It could cause some level of conflict in the marriage. And what do you do with that? So my name is Charles Ravenel. I'm a life and marriage transformation coach, and I help wives to improve communication and maximize intimacy in their marriage so that they can experience transformative change. They do that by being clear, concise, and consistent and how they communicate with their spouses. And this is a hot topic today. This is a really hot topic. And one major thing that I want to share, I'll share three major things. And again, this is totally impromptu that I'm doing, but it's on my heart to do. So, a few things that I'll share, three major things that I'll share as to how do you be married to an unsaved husband? What is your role in that? What is your responsibility in that? And the first thing is to love him and to lead with love. So if we look at love in the definition, from a biblical perspective, we can go to 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13. And when I say lead, not that you're the head of the home, but you're leading in a sense as your role as a wife, with love. And love is understanding. Love is being compassionate. Love is demonstrating grace. Love is being kind. So all of those things go hand in hand. Now, I understand that there may be some frustration there because, of course, you want your husband to be saved. You want him to go to church with you. You want him to pray with you. You want him to do all of these things that are not happening. However, it is not your responsibility to tell him what he's not doing. Nor is it your responsibility to put him down and make him feel less of a man, less of a husband, less of a leader because he has not chosen to follow the same path that you have chosen. So you lead with love and all of that, and leading with love, of course, grace comes with that and all the things that I just mentioned. And if you want to know how to do that in a better way than you've been doing that before, then go to 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13, and it will show you exactly how to do that. The number two thing is that you lead with compassion. You lead with compassion. You're compassionate toward your spouse. You are compassionate as to how you communicate with him. Again, not full with anger and not full with bitterness, not full, hey Giovanna, not full with disgust and all of these feelings that can come. Because in your mind, you feel like, oh, we should be on one accord. We should be operating in oneness. We should be doing this together and that together, and all that. Although all of those things may be true, is not true in the sense of what's happening right now. So you still have to lead with compassion and lead and communicate compassionately with your spouse. Communicate compassionately, hey, with your spouse. And that's not easy to do if you don't have compassion. So in order to lead with compassion, you have to have self-compassion. Again, I'm going to say that in order to lead with compassion, you have to have self-compassion. And if you don't have self-compassion, that will not be demonstrated in your marriage. Something I have started saying and I'm going to continue to say is that you cannot give what you ain't got. I'm going to say that again. You can't give what you ain't got. Many couples want certain attributes and things to show up in their marriage, but where is it going to come from? If you don't possess it yourself, it cannot come from you. If your husband does not possess it, it cannot come from him. So how do you both work together to possess these qualities that you desire to show up in your marriage so that you can begin to see something different? If there's an issue with communication, then you both need to learn how to communicate effectively, how to listen actively, understanding that communication is not a two-way street, it is a four-way street. It takes you being able to send the communication, whatever that may look like, send that communication, then that person responds to what you sent them, they acknowledge what you sent them, and then there's execution that is behind that. So there are a number of things that has to happen in order for you to effectively be able to communicate with your spouse. So that's lead with compassion. And then the last thing would be lead by example. Lead by example. What does that mean? That means that you are to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and you are not to be conformed. Come on, somebody. Yes, you do pray. Absolutely, Kimberly. Exactly. Accept him for who he is. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you are not to conform. The word of God tells us in Romans that be not conformed to the patterns of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So if you're married to an unsaved spouse, you don't conform to his habits, his behaviors, his ideologies, his practices, his mindset, and all of those things. You still have you have set values that you live by. You have core values that you live by, and neither one of you should try to change the other person and making them adapt to your values. The only thing you can do is lead by example, because my Bible tells me in 1 Peter 3 and 1 through 8 that if you lead by example, in other words, and if you be the light, and if your desire is for your husband to be saved and for you and him to both follow God and operate in that place of godliness, then you have to be that example. You telling him what to do is not that example. You trying to be his mother, his therapist, his pastor, or whatever you're trying to be. None of those things are going to work. You have to lead by example. And another thing I want to say about conforming, so that means that if he does things, if he has behavioral practices and a lifestyle that is ungodly and that is contrary to the word of God, you don't follow suit. You don't do things just to conform or just to be accepted in your marriage, nor should you have to, and nor should he desire you. If he respects the God that you serve, not that he has to serve the God you serve, but if he respects the God that you serve and he respects the relationship with the God that you have, he should not expect you to conform to his lifestyle, nor should you feel like you have to do that in order to feel accepted and loved and respected by him. You should still be able to have a quality relationship without having to conform and do things that is outside of your godly character. And as it relates to praying and accepting him for who he is, that's a major thing. I talked about that in one of my programs, Kimberly, about accepting and adjusting to that person. Listen, it is what it is. He is who he is. You are who you are. And the more you try to change him, the more frustrated you're going to become. The more upset you're going to become, the more agitated you're going to become, because the more you try to change him and you're so adamant about that, the more he is going to rebel against that, if you would. And in some cases, he will become resentful because, hey, you accepted me how I was before. What's wrong with me now? So you have to be really mindful. It's one thing to influence and another thing to enforce. There's one thing to influence him, and then there's another thing to enforce. You don't want to try to enforce your ideologies and your spirituality and your religion or whatever it is, whatever your beliefs are. You're not trying to enforce them on him, but you are trying to influence him, and your lifestyle is the influence that you are bringing to that marriage. Come on, somebody. In the word, grow. Yes, yes, yes. So I just wanted to share that because I felt like some people needed to hear that. For one, lead with love. Stop allowing, his lifestyle to get you so in a tootsie, and you're so upset, you're so mad, he's not saved, he's not. Listen, ask yourself the question, is my husband giving me what I need? I'm not saying what you want. You want him to be saved, you want him to follow after Christ, and yes, we can argue that it will be in his best interest and the best interest of the marriage and the family overall. However, is he giving you what you need? If you can list 5 qualities of your husband, of the things that he is giving you, he's providing for you in this current moment right now, the things that you need, I guarantee you that he's meeting those things. Now, let me just say this. He may not be meeting the need or the expectation how you desire for him to do that. And that's where that communicating compassionately comes in at, because you're sharing with him what you desire and what you need. But I guarantee you that he is meeting those needs. And one last thing, I want to just ask you a question before I get off here. Are you keeping the vows? Are you keeping the vows for your marriage? The vows that you went in front of the judge, in front of the pastor, in front of the whomever, the official that married you, both however long ago it was. Have you kept the vows from that time to this time? Or have you allowed life circumstances in the stages of your marriage cause you to break your vows toward your husband? Have you allowed the frustration of life cause you to miss or to break those vows? These are questions that we have to continue to ask ourselves and continue to be in the flow of, what do I need to do to grow my marriage? What do I need to do to advance my marriage to the next level? What do I need to do to enhance this experience? What do I need to do? So often we're focused on what he needs to do, but wife, I'm asking you, what do you need to do? What is your responsibility? What is your role? I guarantee if you focus on you more and him less in the aspect of trying to change him, you will begin to see change. Because when you have learned various skills that you need to learn to grow and mature in certain areas, you automatically bring those things to the marriage covenant. But too often we're going off of what we were taught and what we caught as we grew up, and what society has told us of how we need to be and how we need to show up, and we bring that into the marriage, and that causes just more frustration and more tension. And especially in this time of crisis, this is not the time to create more frustration and more chaos, but this is the time to come together and to be one and to be unified, be a unified force, and see what can we both do together to make this marriage work. To make this marriage work. Well, that's a question, Tiffany, that's something that you have to work out. If that's where you are and you believe that's the direction that God is taking you in, then you have to work that out. But I do want you to ask yourself the question, have both of you done what's required and what's necessary to be unified? Have both of you done what's required and what's necessary to bring healing to the marriage? Have both of you given everything that you have and have really done the work to get to a better place? Those are questions that you have to ask. If you're operating in a place of frustration because you don't want to give anymore, or you really haven't put the best foot forward because frustration takes over, then you'll find yourself in like, you know what, I'm done, I'm good. But you have to ask, is it worth saving? Is it worth going through the steps to heal? Because here's the thing, even with that, let's say you leave the marriage, he leaves the marriage, you still got to do work on you. And that's where a lot of couples miss it. Oh, I'm leaving, and they leave the spouse, and that's okay if that's what you choose to do. But do know that you still have to do the work. You leaving your husband or your wife doesn't mean that everything is fine with you. That doesn't automatically qualify you or prepare you to be in another relationship. So whether you're with him or her or somebody else, you still got to do the work. The work is still required. That's the work that we don't like to do. That's the work that we don't like to do. We don't like to self-reflect. We don't like to self-explore. We don't like to dig up our demons, if you would, or expose, or certain, we don't want certain areas about ourselves to be exposed, because when certain areas about ourselves are exposed, it causes us to shift and change. And as a people, we don't like shifting and changing. We like to remain the same because the same is comfortable. We like to be complacent. We like familiarity. We like to be, we like to predict what's going to happen next. We like to predict what's going to happen next. And when we're unable to predict what's going to happen next, it makes us uncomfortable. We like being in control, because when we're in control, we know what's going to happen. We know what to do. We know how to show up. And here's the thing about marriage. Marriage is going to bring out the very best and the very worst of you, because you're around that person, especially during this time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And for most of us, you're just around your spouse a lot. So they see your crap. They see all of your crap, all of your rotten crap. They see every aspect of you, every inch of you. There is no hiding. There is no being fake. There is no representative showing up after 10 years of marriage. They see every bit of you. And if you do not grow and mature, and if you don't change some things about your life, that same rotten person will continue to show up year after year after year. And they will begin to see somebody that they don't like, and vice versa. So if you're not taking necessary steps to grow, be better, and do better, it doesn't matter who you're with. You're going to get the same result. Marriage, it confronts so many things. It exposes so many areas of your life. And what I started doing, even for my own life and for my own marriage, is asking God to show me, show me those ugly parts about me, show me those deep, dark secrets, show me those things that other people may see. And here's the thing, your friends may not see it because you're not around your friends that much. So they may know, okay, yeah, she got an attitude problem, or yeah, she's this, yeah, she's that. But they don't see you in the confines of a relationship. They see you on the confines of a friendship. But when you talk about an intimate relationship such as marriage, they don't see that part of you. So one can argue that you're two different people. Come on, somebody. One can argue that you're one way towards your husband and children, and you're another way toward friends and people in the street. One can argue that you have split personalities. And then there's another majority of individuals that, they give more, and they give willingly and sacrificially to their children, but they don't give their husbands that same respect and same attention. So what do we do with that? So marriage is not for the faint at heart. It's for those people that want to grow, for those people that want to mature, for those people that want to excel in life and relationships. And it will create so many opportunities for you to do that. And it can be so beautiful, and it can be such an incredible experience for the two parties that are involved, if you allow it to be. This past week, I just finished up yesterday, as a matter of fact, a 5-day masterclass. And I shared so many things when it comes to being your husband's friend, learning how to communicate, learning how to be more compassionate, more understanding. I mean, there was so much information that I shared, hours of teaching, and a PowerPoint presentation that was over 100 slides, because I want these women to get it. God has called me to protect the integrity of marriage, but that can't happen if, especially kingdom marriages, protect the integrity of kingdom marriages. But that cannot happen if couples are constantly at odds with one another. Couples are constantly frustrated. They're constantly not communicating, or not communicating well. They're constantly not working on themselves and getting better and doing better. That can't happen if you're constantly frustrated and not resolving issues, leaving the big old elephant in the room to do whatever he wants to do, sit on your couch and break up your furniture. We have to deal with these issues because we grew up in homes where we didn't see issues dealt with. We saw problems, we saw arguing, we saw fights, we saw miscommunication, no communication, but we didn't see healthy marriages and help. We weren't in healthy environments. And when I say that, I'm not that it was an abusive environment, but we didn't see what does it look like to resolve conflict? What does it look like to apologize? What does it look like to submit? What does it look like to lead? What does it look like to communicate effectively and positively? What does it look like to demonstrate compassion? What does it look like to be mutually submissive? We didn't see those things. So we're figuring these things out ourselves. And when reality hits your home and it's time for you to step up and to be that wife or husband, it's time for you to step up and to be that husband. It's a struggle because it's change, and change does not feel good. So in this week-long masterclass, I talked about so many things, and I actually created an e-course. So if anybody's interested in getting access to those 5 videos I did, hours of content, over 5 hours of content, over 100 PowerPoint slides that I shared, including 9 bonuses that I developed to go along with this, let me know. It is available right now for only $47. $47. You get access to something that's going to change the trajectory of your life and also your marriage. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'll definitely give you the link, and you can go on and get more information and be a part of it. Access was granted to the individuals that took advantage of it yesterday, and they also get access to a group coaching session, which I'm hosting next Saturday for 2 hours. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what God is doing, and whether individuals decide to get on board or not. I know what I've been called to do, and I will continue to move forward no matter what. Is on board, 2 people get on board. This is the mandate that God has placed over my life. I am crystal clear in what I've been called to do. Crystal clear. There is no argument there whatsoever. And it is my responsibility to protect the integrity of marriages. And that starts with me reaching out to you. That starts with me working with you. That starts with me making myself available to you. Even right now, I'm supposed to be doing homework. I'm hours behind on doing homework, but I want to jump on here because I felt it was necessary to come and have this conversation on today. So listen, that's all I got for y'all. That is all I have for you. I'll stick on for just a couple seconds. If you have any questions or anything, I'll definitely like to answer those. If anybody is interested in being getting the e-course, let me know that, and I'll drop the link so you can get that. And I'm just excited. If you're not in the Wives Who Win Training Center, definitely be a part of that amazing group. It's the best group that's on social media. I'm a bias. The best group on social media that cater to wives. It's very effective. Is life changing, and God is just doing some amazing things overall. And I'm just obedient. I'm obedient to what He's called me to do. I'm obedient to the call of God over my life, and no matter what, and it comes with great sacrifice. It comes with a sacrifice, but no matter what, I'm going to do what He's called me to do. It don't matter. It don't matter. So listen. All right, you guys, I got to get in this homework. I got hours ahead of me to do. And I hope that this has blessed you. Share it with if you know that somebody that's in a marriage and they're married to an unsaved spouse. Definitely share with them. I hope it encourages them. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up via email at info@wiveswhowin.com. Check out my website at wiveswhowin.com. wiveswhowin.com. There's a lot of good information and material there. And I'm just looking forward to what's next. What's next for you? What's next for me? What's next for the Wives Who Win community? And I'm just committed to doing that. So I hope you all have an amazing Saturday. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.